So, if you've been paying attention to Canadian politics, which you probably haven't, you've noticed that the Liberals have taken a steep decline in popularity recently, right? And this has mostly to do with their policies. It's the recent budget that they passed. It's Trudeau going to India, fucking that up, blaming the Indian government, saying that they're the ones who invited the Sikh separatist over to India to, screw over the trade relations between the governments. And then, shortly after that, they raised their tariffs on us for, like, I don't know, chickpeas or some shit. So, there's not only that, but, like, yes, like the budget, which is ridiculous. A lot of Canadians, if they have looked it over a little bit, they'd probably be like, okay, there's a lot of wasted money going around here. And then, he's like interrupting people, telling them to say people kind. He's spending more money trying to reintegrate ISIS members into Canada. He's cutting veteran spending in half, like for veterans who are already served. So, of course, his numbers are going to be plummeting. But, a lot of liberals are blaming, like, these hit pieces from conservatives and this, and that. And pretty much they're saying that the Canadian populace are very stupid and easily swayed by ads. It has nothing to do with your actions, your policies, the debt of the country raising, the fact that our economic growth is actually pretty stagnant, and the Federal Reserve is not raising interest rates because of that fact. We're losing business investment because of Trump's tax breaks that he gave. Now, we're not no longer competitive. We're not blaming Trump, but our response to that is to increase businesses on small taxes and to, not lower taxes for regular people and just raise taxes on the rich. So something that's just going to scare business away from Canada. So what are they going to do? They're going to focus on race, and now they're bringing up this thing, a campaign, I'm here with Celine, or here with Celine, it says. And, Trudeau has retweeted it, all these other people saying, like, we're here with you, right? Because she's being called a racist by a bunch of people on the conservative side because she is a racist. It doesn't matter if she's a black woman, you can still be a racist no matter what race you are, right? And this started a couple weeks ago after Trudeau released his budget, right? And the Minister of Immigration, Ahmed Hussein, he's like, oh, this is a historic bill for racialized Canadians. Pretty much like all this money going to, black people and women of color and immigrants. This is a great thing. So Maxime Bernier, the leader of the Conservative Party on the other side, commented, and he's like, I thought the ultimate goal of fighting discrimination was to create a colorblind society where everyone is treated the same. Not to set some Canadians as being racialized. What's the purpose of this awful jargon? To create more division for the Liberals to exploit? And yes, that's what they want to do. They want to exploit racial divisions. They want to put people in groups, and then so they can later pit them against each other to get things out of them, right? And then the minister responded by saying that the budget was about equality and growth. Sure, for all Canadians, that the idea of not seeing color may sound great in theory, but doesn't address the realities of racism. At best, it allows the Conservative Party of Canada to continue to wipe their hands of playing an active role in the work that must be done to eradicate racism, and at worst, it means you are supporting the status quo by denying the very real experiences of people who live with racism every day. So he's like, if you don't agree with me that all Canadians, all white people are racist, and we need these laws in order to force people to not be racist, then you're racist and you're supporting the system of racism. And this is their whole narrative that, Canada is a system built on white supremacy, colonialism, all this fucking jargon, the same shit that the Americans use, the Americans or the liberal Americans used to, mess with their own public, right? So, what's her name? She responded to this, to Maxime Bernier, the Celine girl. She's like, do some research, or a Google search as to why stating colorblindness as a defense actually contributes to racism. Please check your privilege and be quiet. So she told him to check his privilege and to be quiet. Since our governments like research, here is the evidence. And then she gave him a link to a Guardian article. So that's not credible whatsoever. Lark's an article saying like, oh, this is microaggressions and how microaggressions are bad. But literally everything is a microaggression today. If you're like, oh, I like freedom of speech, microaggression. Oh, I think we should live in a meritocracy, microaggression. Pretty much anything that is promoting Western civilization to any degree is a microaggression, right? And, a bunch of other shit too that they add in. But a lot of it does have to do with that. They're like, anytime you're like, oh, we should treat people fairly and equally, oh, it's a microaggression. Well, you need to assume that white people are fucking racist and they need to be fucking regulated in order to treat you right and to treat you fairly, right? So this is a racist narrative in itself, because it's like saying that all people, because of their skin color, think a certain way. So it's racist by itself, as well. So now there's this whole thing where people are coming to her defense because we were calling her racist and calling her out on her racism. So now everybody's like, oh, we need to start a campaign. I stand with Celine. And this is what she said, like, just the other day. She's like, so tired of being attacked as a racist because I question racism or speak up against it. The label that does not belong to me, she wrote, I will not sit and let others say what they wish because they feel they can get away with it. And it's like, really, I thought it was only white people who didn't like it when they were called racist, but apparently you don't like it either. You're starting a whole campaign and you're not going to accept it. So this whole white fragility bullshit can be applied to you too, because you seem to not like to be called racist either when you are being racist, when you're telling somebody to sit down, to shut up because of their skin color, right? So you can go fuck yourself, like, honestly. And, she then made a video, I think on Facebook, releasing it, and she was crying, like, oh, thank you so much for supporting me, and this, and that. It's like, oh my God. Like, who buys these crocodile tears from anybody? Anybody who does at this point is really, really, really stupid. Like, I don't know what to say about you. Maybe you don't pay attention whatsoever to politics at all, but even if you don't, you should be able to tell when people are manipulating you. And this is clearly a case, right? Releasing videos like this, whenever people start crying like that, I always get extremely suspicious of them, because genuinely, usually it's not genuine, right? And this same woman, she's been saying stupid shit for the past year. She's like, work in the House of Commons was like death by 1,000 cuts. Due to the constant racist microaggressions she routinely faces as a black woman. One example she cited is how a woman in a washroom jokingly told her not to steal her purse. A comment she said was racially motivated. So I don't know, maybe it was, but a lot of the times too nowadays is people will just say something and then people will be like, they'll see it as racist. And it's like, that's the difference nowadays. Like, a lot of the times, the racism that white people get, attacked with, it's like, it's subjective. It's somebody's looking at something, oh, well, that, Trump is attacking black people a lot, so this can only mean that he's a racist. And then when we call out people who are saying legitimately racist things, oh, you're just a snowflake, oh, you're mad because you're being treated equally now. White people, they feel like they're oppressed because they're being treated equally now. But it's like, no, I think people, when they say are being treated equally now, what they're really saying is we're trying to treat you as badly as we think that you treated us. So that's not being treated equally, right? Maybe you may think it's treating them equally, but it's not, right? So, this is just a weak move from the liberals. They are weak in position right now. Their policies are shit, and they're coming up with anything they possibly can to divide people. And this is the best way they do it, is with race, with being a woman. Now they're all coming out to defend her, acting like there's this huge campaign against this woman and she's a victim. It's like, no, there's people made 3 videos about her from like Rebel saying that she's a racist. Like, get the fuck over it, and that she sees racism in everything. And she probably does. Nowadays, saying things that are real is just racist. You can't just notice anything. And they're doing the same thing in the Parkland school shooting victims, right? Or the school survivors. You can't say anything about these kids either, anything legitimate, because all of a sudden, oh, you're attacking school victims and survivors, and you can't do this because you're a horrible person. Oh, how could you do this? You're a monster, blah, blah, blah. It's the same old, like, strategy that they've been using, that liberals use everywhere. And like I said before, if you can't see through it at this point, you're honestly so fucking stupid. And this just shows, like I said, their weakness. They are in a position of weakness right now with everything they are doing. So all they can fall back on is their identity politics, but it's not gonna work. Canadians, we are more pragmatic than you like to think. And, if you are fucking over our industry and our economy, we are going to care more about that than you going around virtue signaling and giving all our money away to other countries, right? But, that's all I pretty much had to say on the matter. If you like my content, subscribe and have a good day. See ya.